My mother had COPD in a small town in North Mississippi with the second largest rural hospital in the country. And this hospital had access to every single device you could potentially put into a hospital. It's the target of every major medical company in the world. But they couldn't help prevent her COPD. They couldn't find my dad's heart disease that he'd been living with for several years that he didn't know he had. So I started looking at devices at that point that actually made sense, that predicted. So what we did is we came up with a model. So what Wellness Connect does is we look for devices that maybe have not been out to the public yet, that have not been out to the clinics, and we bring those to our researchers, Jonathan Lakey here at UC Irvine, for example, and we validate them. We make sure that they're going to be right for our clinics, because at the end of the day, it's all about the patients. So what we do and who we are, I'm the CEO and founder. Lee Brewer is also affected by chronic illness in his family. His mother had a brain tumor that was found by her ophthalmologist, and she had four months to live when they found it. One of our devices can actually detect that. Robert Tanko, he's our international relations officer. Same thing. He's had chronic illness that could have been prevented. Ken Duffett, our chief sales and marketing officer. Alzheimer's and his father. They didn't catch it until it's pretty much too late. Jason Meredith, our CFO, his wife has got heart disease. They just took her to the hospital today, something that could have been prevented. And Dr. Nelson, Dr. Nelson is a pain physician out of Wake Forest. He practices in Louisville, Kentucky, 2 clinics, 400 patients a day, one of the top pain physicians in the country, and he's an interventional pain specialist. So I could probably count on one hand how many opioid prescriptions he wrote out of those 400 patients a day last year. And of course, Juliana Dempsey, our chief development, and she basically trains all of our employees that we send out in the field. We have 2 different ways we put employees out there, and then we let the clinics use their own employees. So she trains all those. She's a microbiologist by trade. So some of our scientific advisors, Dr. Lakey here at the Sue and Bill Gross Stem Cell Center. Jason Cormier. Jason's a neurosurgeon out of Lafayette, Louisiana, as we call it in the South, Lafayette. He's got deep ties in the local community and also deep ties in the NASCAR community. He's also very, very embedded in the NFL on the players' side, the players' committees. Shailesh Kajal, he's formerly a University of Florida professor, noted retina surgeon. Eric Graham, neurosurgeon at Bienville Orthopedic Clinic in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Diane Field. She's our neurologist at Memorial Hospital, Gulfport. So what we do is we look for preventive and predictive healthcare devices. We acquire those devices. So we don't charge the doctors anything. We basically buy these devices for the doctors, and we place them in the office. And you probably wonder how we do that. Well, we do it because we do a revenue share model with them. So each doctor is given the device, no upfront cost, and we place them in there, give them a 30-day net, so they're cash strapped. So they're able to provide these pieces of equipment at no cost. And then we do a revenue share model with them. So everything that we do look at, if it doesn't already have a CPT code, we take it and we get it coded as well. So we place the devices in a nationwide network. We have over 200 reps now. Some of them are sitting here in the audience with us today, and we basically plug and play into our network. We can take a device as it stands right now. We can take a device and put it in to our own clinics, or we can put it in about 250 to 260 clinics right off the bat. So immediate revenue for the device company. And then we're also in the process of developing the software that marries all the devices, and we can actually measure a patient off-site, head to toe, and be able to monitor and engage with the doctor at that point. And then we do the research and development for treatment protocols using the stem cell therapy. We feel like there's a lot of things out there that aren't treating pain, that aren't treating concussions, that aren't treating several different aspects, and we think that stem cell therapy is going to be the next generation. We own pain clinics, so we're able to build that brand, and we'll eventually go to the stem cell therapy in our pain clinics as well. So we have 8 clinics already up and running. We'll have 50 by the end of fiscal year 2019. So our own clinics will be able to validate every single device that we bring into the mix. Our current device right now is a neurological device. It's one of the best things that we've ever come across. We can actually assist in diagnosing early dementia, pre-dementia and early memory loss up to 10 years 10 years before it becomes Alzheimer's. We're doing a pain validation. This is very important to us because my mother was a chronic pain patient, and she died of meningitis from a spinal lumbar injection. It went bad. We basically take two different, there's two different components in this device. So one is the brain map. So we can actually map the center of the brain that deals with the pain processes and see if that brain is active. All right. So then we go up to the heart rate variability studies, and you look at the physical and mental stress levels of that patient. So we have two different functions to be able to measure the pain validation. So all of these the opioid epidemic task forces are looking at devices that can assess pain. We don't need to know how much pain they're in or how or even where it's at. We just need to assess and make sure that they are in pain before we give them an opioid. We do concussions, PTSD, and TBI. We've been doing concussions, all three of them, in the military for 10 years. We have Department of Defense contracts that we work with the Marine Corps and the Army right now. And psychological disorders. We do neuropsychological testing with the same device. What we do is it's nothing new. We run EEGs, but we've built the algorithms to basically take those four different tests and build the algorithms for the software to come out with a great report. So, and we objectively assess and measure cognitive impairment. So all of this is all reported. We give the reports to the physicians. We're an objective. We have no skin in the game, so to speak, with the doctors. We give them a report that's already interpreted, already done, and they get an end product turnkey solution. So what we're doing planning ahead is I come to places like these MedTech conferences, and we look for devices also to add to the mix, to plug into our network, prevention, predictive medicine, and basically let's make everybody well. That's what we call it, Wellness Connect. And so we're going to be integrating all of the devices that we do with our wearable technologies. We'll have one for the wrist, one for the head, one for the ankle, and they'll be able to monitor. You'll be able to monitor the patients off-site. Then we're doing further research in validity with Dr. Lakey on the stem cells, and we're about to join the stem cell studies on the strokes, Parkinson's, and several others. So our dartboard is pain management. We're in, of course, our own clinics. Workers' compensation is really big. You're talking 35 to 40% of all workers' compensation claims are over-exaggerated or false. We can measure that with this device. Personal injury is big. A lot of times the attorneys, almost a lot of frivolous lawsuits going on. So, and then we're going into the pain societies in several states, starting over in Tennessee is our first big pain society we're going to the Southern Pain Society. We just signed the contract. We're going to be in the largest independent neurology GPO in the country and the first of its kind specifically for GPOs. It has 18 of the top 25 independent neurology practices in the country, starting with Texas Neurology in Dallas. We're going into opioid task force right now in Mississippi, Tennessee. We're going into Louisiana, and we're working with Kentucky and several other states on the east side of the country. We're in hospital systems, Memorial at Gulfport already. We're going into Merritt, and with Dr. Bocher out here in Santa Monica, we'll be going into the Providence Network. We're also looking at going into the Head Health Network, and I know everybody probably remembers the movie Concussion. So that's with Dr. Julian, he's up there, and Dr. Omalu up here at UC Davis, and of course, their Brain Injury Research Institute. And with Dr. Cormier, we just took our first device to NASCAR. We've tested a lot of NFL players already. Obviously, for HIPAA purposes, I can't tell you who, but it's some of the big ones. Everybody probably knows some of the names that we've tested so far. So our projected revenues just from this one device over the next 5 years are going to be almost in excess of, a little bit in excess of $80 million. We figure with just 500 devices placed, and we already have 200. So we're already pretty close to halfway there. And we're looking at acquiring the company that we're representing as a whole and acquiring them and bringing them into the mix. So that's our projections based upon that. Seed funding, we did basically our seed levels, myself mostly. We did our own seed funding, $522,500. It's probably a little bit more than that because I didn't count the travel expenses and things like that, and I traveled all over the country. That's well over probably $100,000 so far. And then I purchased 25 neurological devices so far, and we've got, actually this is old. We've got 35 that we've purchased, and we've placed more. So We've done software upgrades and development, employment costs, and travel. So what we're looking for, we're doing a Series A offering right now. We're doing $10 million for the allocations of purchasing, controlling interest of the Neurological Device company. $2 million in working capital, $1 million for manufacturing 150 neurological devices that we already have for contracts that we have not actually told the neurological company about yet. So, and then $1 million for employee salaries and benefits for the first year. And then we want to relocate the company from New York to Franklin, Tennessee. Franklin's a little suburb right outside of Nashville, one of the fastest growing suburbs in the country, actually. Nashville metropolitan market has about 104 people move to it every single day. So it's good. It's a really big market. It's right behind Austin as far as technology. We've got a really big medical market there. But the biggest thing is we've got a really good solid base of medical allied health professionals coming out of school there, and we're able to capture those people at a lower cost because our cost of living is not quite as high over there in the South. So especially as it is in New York. So, and that's it. If anybody has any questions, we can tell you a little bit. Yes, sir. The open architecture is not quite as open when you're trying to buy a license for somebody or use somebody else's. So we want to open that up a little bit more so that we can marry other devices in with our technology. We don't want to, I'm not a competitor. I don't want to compete with anybody. I'd rather partner with another company that's a competitor and work with them because we're talking healthcare here. This is healthcare. We're not selling cars. We're not selling, watches or diamond rings. We're selling health. And if we're going to compete, then I don't know I don't think I want to be in that business. I think I'd rather partner with them than compete against them. So we want to be able to open up the architecture a little bit more. That's why we do it. All right. Thank you.